Hey everyone, tokenization is literally one of the massive things we've been keeping our eyes on throughout this whole year. We just keep coming back to it. Now look, I totally know that constantly hearing about tokenization can get pretty tiresome and, repetitive, trust me. I hear you. But honestly, this is legitimately one of the most significant things unfolding in the entire crypto world. We're sitting at almost $34 billion right now. Just think about where we were. Like our peak back at the very start of the year was only $15.6 billion. We're watching a sector that's growing at a completely insane speed, and it's definitely something that nearly everybody should be keeping their radar on. Plus, when we break down some of these networks here, we can really see what's going on with networks throughout the space. We're talking about some of the most powerful platforms around, right? When we check out the platform rankings, Securitize is holding that #1 spot, and Ripple already has a partnership locked in with Securitize. Securitize just teamed up with Ripple, and Ripple's also working with Ondo now. Pretty wild, right? Most of the names on this list are already linked up with big players we've been following for ages in the space. And it's not just about partnerships. The numbers across these networks are climbing fast. When you look at the global market, that $34 billion figure includes a lot from private chains and platforms like Securitize. Even though Securitize uses a few public networks, it's not really a tradable public network itself. That's why under the Networks tab, you'll see about $21.22 billion. And what's wild is both of those numbers have jumped a lot over the past month. Public blockchains are seeing even more growth. If you check out the 30-day transfer volume, you'll notice that while $21.22 billion sits on these networks, the real action is happening around RWAS. So right now we're looking at about $115 billion, up 50%. Why does that matter? Think of it like stablecoins. There's around $295 billion in stablecoins out there, but the monthly transfer volume is massive, about $3.7 trillion. That's a huge gap, and it shows how much activity and value can flow through these networks, even when the total amount locked in looks smaller. Here's the big picture. Real-world asset, RWA tokenization could hit trillions of dollars over the next few years. I keep saying tokenization could make people seriously wealthy because all that value will end up moving through public networks. Just like we see now with stablecoins, the transfer volume will explode as everything scales up. By 2030, projections show around $16 trillion tied to public networks, but that the monthly transfer volume tied to that could easily reach $30 trillion, $50 trillion, or even $100 trillion. That's because these tokenized assets won't just sit there, they'll be traded nonstop around the clock every single day of the year. Yeah, this really is what people mean by the Internet of Value, the new financial system taking shape right in front of us. Ripple's been talking about it for years. They first mentioned the Internet of Value back in 2017, and now it's actually coming together. Fast forward to April 2024. And the BIS, the Central Bank of Central Banks, announced the Finternet, which is basically another name for the Internet of Value. It's only about a year and a half old as a concept, but it lines up perfectly with what Ripple and others have been building toward. The BIS called it the financial system for the future, focused on tokenization and linking different ledgers so money and assets can move faster and more efficiently through digital systems. And Ripple's not just talking about it, they're actively involved. On the 8th, they posted banking, bonds, currency, and markets. The entire financial landscape is evolving. Blockchain is a powerful engine that creates groundbreaking opportunities for global businesses. Learn how we are making it happen with solutions for payments, custody, stablecoins, and more. So yeah, it's not just talk anymore, it's actually happening. So why is this all happening now? Honestly, when you look at what's going on, it feels like this was always the plan. Ripple was talking about this back in 2017, and today, it's here. We're seeing huge adoption of tokenized assets, stablecoins, and digital currencies across the board. I mean, seriously, this is one of the biggest years for crypto yet. And guess what? This is just the beginning. If you thought 2025, with all its big announcements and major partnerships, was huge. Trust me, it's only going to get even bigger from this point on. And hey, remember BlackRock? They gave us an update back in quarter 3, or was it quarter 2? I might be wrong on the exact quarter, but I definitely remember that specific update. So what they were basically telling us, and we're talking about Larry Fink here, the CEO of BlackRock himself, is that tokenization is about to blow up. They were saying tokenization is the next massive wave. That's literally what they said, right? And BlackRock is still all in on tokenization. They're constantly pushing the envelope to see how far they can take this thing. Just check out this recent update from CNBC. Nate Goralski posted it. We've got the CEO of the world's largest asset manager saying, and I quote, "We are just at the beginning of the tokenization of all assets." Yes, includes ETFs. That's Larry Fink talking about his positively evolving attitude towards crypto. He even says, "I grow and learn." Good lesson here. And yet, some of you still think crypto is a scam. You've got to listen to this closely.
I do believe we're just at the beginning of the tokenization of all assets, from real estate to equities to bonds across the board.
It's very loud here.
It is very loud.
But it's good. Capital's at work, Larry. You like that.
I love capital at work.
Yeah.
But there's $4.1 trillion of money sitting globally in digital wallets. A lot of that money is outside the United States. If we could tokenize a ETF, digitize that ETF, we could have investors who are just beginning to, invest in markets through, let's say, crypto. They're investing in it, but now we could get them into the more traditional long-term retirement products. So we look at that as the next wave of opportunity for BlackRock over the next tens of years, as we start moving away from traditional financial assets by repotting them in a digital manner, and then having people stay in that digital ecosystem. They can have their cash, and we have the largest cash money market fund that's tokenized called BITL. Our Bitcoin IBIT is now over $100 billion.
$100 billion, I know, from nothing not that long ago.
And 2 years ago, zero.
Yeah,
so
I know. Well, you weren't always a huge proponent of crypto, as we know.
I love it now. But I grow and learn.
I heard you say that on 60 Minutes.
I did say that.
It's moments like these you just have to laugh, right? You watch, you learn, you see how the game is played. And look, let's be real. Is anyone truly surprised that BlackRock is making these huge moves? It's not like they just discovered crypto yesterday. Come on. These guys have been lurking in the shadows for years. Even when they were publicly saying, nah, not for us, you better believe they were behind the scenes pulling strings and being a huge part of the master plan. Everything happening right now, this isn't chaos. This is precision. It's all just dominoes perfectly lined up, and now they're starting to fall one after the other. And here's the latest absolute bombshell that proves it. The biggest takeaway from their recent announcement is that they are building out their very own tokenization platform. Yep, you heard that right. They basically came out and confirmed it. And naturally, everyone started to freak out a little bit, right? The big question became, okay, if a giant like BlackRock is building their own private playground, what does that mean for all the public networks? Are they useless now? That is the million-dollar question. And we are definitely about to get into it. So stick with me. All right, you guys have got to see this. A post just dropped from Eleanor Terrett, and she's quoting the CEO of BlackRock, Larry Fink himself. Now get this, because what he said is a total game changer. He said, "The thing that stood out to me the most from Larry Fink's interview this morning was when he said, the next wave of opportunity for BlackRock is moving away from traditional financial assets and making them digital. If we can tokenize an ETF, we can have investors who are beginning to invest in markets through, let's say, crypto. But now we can get them into the more traditional long-term retirement products. So we look at that as the next wave of opportunity for BlackRock over the next tens of years as we start moving away from traditional financial assets by repotting them in a digital manner and having people stay in that digital ecosystem. So, let's just let that sink in for a minute. What he's really saying, what BlackRock is shouting from the rooftops is, guess what? So, their master plan is to basically get everybody on the crypto train, lock them into that digital world, and make it the new king, completely replacing the old way of doing finance. But hold up, I know exactly what you're thinking. Okay, so this just means BlackRock is building its own private little universe, right? So much for public blockchains. Not so fast, and I've got proof. Subjective Views actually dropped this video way back in March. Here's Robbie Mishnick spelling it out for everyone, saying, the real future, the main event for these traditional finance firms is public blockchains. You have to listen to this.
Financial institutions' efforts on private blockchains in the past, and maybe sort of the shift to public blockchains, the regulatory political temperature that has kind of been changing in recent years to kind of lead to that.
Yeah, well, I think the verdict is in on the private blockchains, and it's not good. That was obviously where a lot of the TradFi exploration in this space occurred in the early years. In particular, that was really all of the banks and some of the other TradFi institutions had comfort with. But the track record is what it is, and it reflects the fact that there's been very, very de minimis actual adoption in an economic, commercial way at scale of any of these private blockchain projects. And I think, in hindsight, at least, that makes sense in terms of the curbing of the value prop of blockchain's potential that a private blockchain represents. And so public blockchains are increasingly the focus, even for TradFi firms, maybe not at all yet, but certainly that's the direction of travel. And we've seen obviously encouraging regulatory guidance over the last couple of weeks that help support the notion that this is now suitable territory for even banks in the US to engage in.
They're exclusive country clubs that will never achieve the massive world-changing success of public blockchains. So when you hear this news from BlackRock, don't get it twisted. This only supercharges the entire argument that public blockchains are about to become astronomically valuable because all of that money is about to come flooding on-chain. Every single person who wants a piece of this action is going to move on-chain. BlackRock just dropped one of the most explosive bombshells we've ever seen for XRP, and frankly, for the whole crypto world, because this move is the trigger for trillions and trillions of dollars to pour onto the blockchain. No, it won't happen overnight, but this is the event that brings trillions into our market. It will scale to the point where trillions are moving every single month. I mean, we're seeing billions move around now, and we think that's big. Soon, that's going to look like chump change when the real money, the trillions, starts to flow. So with that said, I hope this got you as fired up as it got me. If it did, show some love, smash that like button, subscribe, and turn on those notifications because I'm putting out free content all the time. See you in the next one.